What's up? What's up?
Hey, everybody.
What's going on, Mikey?
Talk to me about it. What's going on?
Hey, what's up?
Hello there. Hello there.
How are you?
Hey, I'm doing spectacular, to be honest. Yeah. But we'll get into it when we get into it. Let me know.
Okay.
All right. Well, you're listening to the Gag On This podcast. I am Big Nick. I'm joined by my co-host, the lovely Danny D.
What?
I'm joined by my Portuguese lover, that is Rob.
How's it going?
We got honorary gagger Sharon on mic.
As usual.
That's true. You're pretty much part of the group now. And then our guest is the hilarious, the great Mike E. Winfield.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. You're far too kind.
First of all, you're too kind. Thanks for agreeing to come on, man. I appreciate it a lot.
Of course, man. I mean, I got so much other stuff to do, but I found this time to sneak this one in here and make it happen,
You know, he's doing me a favor, you guys. I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah, it's good that you had some downtime in between laundry cycles.
Yes. Absolutely that. The cool part is that was an inside joke for four of us because Danielle wasn't here yet for the
Nope.
Oh, you missed it. It killed.
Yeah, dude.
My bad. I miss all the good things.
So I gotta ask. I tried researching it and I couldn't find it. What does the E stand for?
Elefante is what I told David Letterman, but it's not true. It's It's Edward.
Elefante.
Yeah.
Oh, Edward? Okay.
Yeah. See how exciting that is? It's
Elefante is so much better.
It's so lackluster when you say Edward. So I'm like, yeah, I'd rather come up with something, and I haven't yet. I had extreme in there for a minute, and then I took it out. So Edward.
Is it sad that I fully believed you when you were like Elefante? I was like, that's a dope-ass name.
I know. That would be the topic of the entire conversation if it was my actual name.
Yeah. So I got to ask
Mikey,
one.
Tell Mikey hi.
Ron, what are you doing?
Monty Vice says, what's up?
What's good? Come in. What up?
Hello.
Hey. There we go.
We got TP! Woo!
Nice.
Congratulations.
So I saw a picture recently. You did comedy in a high school gym?
Oh, yeah, man. That's how I roll, man. I do it for the people. Like I started off with a lot of selfish ambition where I was doing comedy to like really fill my own needs. And then I started getting messages and realizing that it's less about me and it's more about what it does for people. So yes, I did a high school, I think it was like a high school preparing for graduation ceremony. I was in there, man. I did jokes. They told me I could be whatever I wanted to be as far as language. I kept it on the clean side. And man, I got a whole lot of fans that can't even drink legally. So it's amazing.
Hold on. I got to get a pen. I'm ill prepared.
God damn it, Nick.
Sorry. I apologize. So one thing I want to talk about is you performed in a lot of great clubs, across the nation. What is your favorite club to perform in?
Man, tough call, man. It's like I could throw a top 10 at you right now. But as far as one in particular, it's always, for me, less about the club performance and more about who I know in the area. The relationships I built over years. Like Minneapolis, I have a great relationship with the people out there, at the Acme Comedy Club. Of course, Sacramento Punchline, that's where I started. So I know like the most people in Sac, man, Tampa, Side Splitters. So it's hard for me to just single out one, but I've met amazing people to this day that I see every time I go out there. So, it's tough.
Have you performed at Helium? I hear good things about that.
Yeah, man. With the Helium I performed at first, it was Philadelphia. It was like the way it was set up, it was a small stage with just intimacy, man. Like the people were so close. It was like a really great performance, but I only did that club once. So I'm like, it's good. But I did that like 10 years ago, so it's cool. Oh, Cap City. I love Austin,
Okay.
Texas, man. They show almost the most love of anywhere I go, where every show is sold out. I'm like, well, I got to write a new hour just so I have a reason to come back.
Well, plus Austin, it's like its own state. I mean, you travel 20 miles outside of Austin, you are in some hick country.
Well,
Well, it's a huge
I
college
don't.
town. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a huge college town. So I mean, I could see, you're fucking hilarious. So I could see a bunch of fucking college kids being like, yeah, we got to check this guy out. Like I could see the support that you have. You're fucking awesome.
Wow, you're so kind. Thank you
You're
very
really
much.
awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was watching your special and I had goosebumps. Not because like your jokes were just like so amazing. Like I was just like, I know that guy. Like he's worked so hard. Like I was just so I'm amazed by you.
Well, thank you. And you know what, man? You know what? I realized that it is less about the punchline sometimes. It's almost about people understanding your journey and being able to connect. So it's this level of possibly maybe inspiring, less than, like, yeah, I want to have the best jokes. That's my goal. But
Yeah.
when people see where I came from and where I am and continue to go, it can help. It can heal. It can do things.
Now, how long you been doing comedy?
Man, I'm almost 18 years in of
Jesus.
stand-up.
How old are you?
Ha ha. I started really young. That's the thing, man. I got in them clubs extra young and I never took off. So, I mean, as in like took days off. I just get caught the addiction, ruined a bunch of like relationships. And that's what happens, man, when you want to get where you want to get,
Right.
Now, what was your journey on comedy? Because I know a lot of comedians, they do open mics, then they'll feature, and then they'll do, headline, and then they'll do the college circuit. Did you do that?
Well, yes, all of that. But what happened was I went with some girl one day to some poetry place, right? And I loved the art of performance. So I was going to just write poetry. And then I found like a comedy open mic and I was like, oh crap, I think I'm funny, I can do that. So I think really initially it was just that energy and feeling of being in front of people, and that's what kind of triggered this all. So it started with open mics, then it was clubs, then it was colleges, and then it was computer screens.
Yeah.
So when you were performing college, do you think you could do some of the material in today's collegiate climate?
I'm still doing colleges. So
yes, are you?
Here's the thing. I don't really change up. Like, here's my thing. It's just something. It's something that I can't really teach, but I go up and I do the same thing wherever I go, and I just keep creating. And I haven't been fired. I just think I get some type of pass to get away with certain things, and I'm going to do it as long as I can.
Nice. One thing I want to bring up, I went through your IMDb, but I also saw it said you were in Pop Star. That was not on your IMDb.
Oh, yes, I am in Pop Star, man. It's fun. Just don't blink. And don't, if you have popcorn, don't reach down and eat it because you will miss me. Don't go to the bathroom. Don't take a call. You will miss my part in Pop Star. I was a hype man, and it was so much fun. It took like an entire day to record that. I'm talking like 8 to 10 hours to get this thing.
5 seconds.
Right. And it's funny. When people recognize me in a movie, I'm surprised. I'm like, you knew that was me? And they were like, yeah, no one else looks like that. I'm like, wow, thanks. Thanks, God.
Well, you do have, I have to say, you have the perfect coiffed afro.
Oh, yeah.
It's perfectly round.
It has its days.
But you were also on Pimp.
Oh, yeah.
You were also on Ballbuster and Satanic Panic. Now, those are 2 movies you've done with Jerry O'Connell. Do you think this is going to be like a future collaboration thing with him?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to do one of them black and white guy buddy cop movies. People love those.
Can you get The Rock in it too, please?
Oh, man. That's when it's over. That's when the game's over. Right. No, he's such a cool guy, man. And we clicked like really well on set. And it's just fun, man, when you go through this and just meet people and realize that people are people. We like got this elevated status of all these celebrities we meet and come across, but a lot of the times they're just, people who love art and perform it. And it's it's great.
Now, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, you worked. I guess Ballbuster. You worked with another local comic here, Terry T.C. Morgan.
Oh, TC, the captain. He probably
Yeah.
doesn't know who he is though.
What role did he play in the movie?
Yeah, the white guy.
Well, if anything, he does a lot of behind the scenes, I guess, like stunts and stuff.
Okay. Here's the sucky part. I'm sure I saw this guy every single day. Oh man. Hey,
He looks like all the rest 40-year-old white guys. Like he literally just, yeah,
Not-
he blends in. He blends in.
As soon as someone puts his picture up, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, TC.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't have approached you. You know?
I don't know.
Because it's amazing to me what high level status like people like when I asked Nick, I was like, I'm bored, what's your fucking dream team on the podcast? And he's like, Mikey Winfield, #1, and like Ryan Goodface, and I'm just like, oh, I can reach out to those guys. Like I know those guys to some degree.
Wow, that's
like
heartwarming. Thanks, Nick.
you.
Wow.
You're such an inspiration. It's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, wow, you guys are so kind. Thank you very much.
Well, no, I've seen, I mean, a lot of your earlier work. Rob and I have both seen, you did, I think it was at the Laugh Factory, you did a joke about Victoria's Secret underwear. I fucking laughed my ass off, man.
That's amazing.
I actually borrowed that and talked about it on my other podcast where, yeah, it was for a Valentine's Day.
Right.
And the whole thing about, don't throw that shit across the room. And it was just.
Yeah, man, because that stuff's expensive. And when I first read it, I had no idea. I didn't know drawers prices were so elevated. So when you see a price tag and you really pull your real reaction from a pair of underwear for $65, you like what happens when you put these things on?
Just so you know, I have to spend $110 on each bra that I fucking wear because I can't go to the store and buy a bra. It's ridiculous.
Oh
it's
my!
And they only come in like white, black, and nude. That's it. So it's fucking bullshit.
White, black, and nude?
That's it. That's all fat girls get to wear. Just black, white, and nude. So it's like trying to go to Victoria's Secrets to find something. They're like, oh, we stop at double D. It's like, you don't have G? No, we don't have G. Sorry. Like, it's underwear that no one sees is so fucking expensive. So you appreciate your ladies. God damn it.
What's nude?
I bet that's what happens when Shaq goes into regular stores for shoes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, we don't have fucking 30. Fucking ridiculous.
So you've also worked on TV. You got an Office credit, 2 episodes. One thing I thought was pretty cool is on BET's Comic View, you shared the stage with Kevin Hart in his early days.
Yeah, absolutely. What a pleasure, man. He did a show. It was called I forgot the name of it. It was but it was like they were bringing up new comics, and yeah, man, I watched like many of the tapings and watched how he actually was just freestyling, so he didn't I don't know why. I think he just kept it so fresh as a host, and that's what they urged him to do, and it made every show really good, and it showed me also the power of editing. Like if you saw my actual set, you'd be like, oh, poor guy. But through editing, man, I came out of that joint a star. It was incredible, right?
So what do you prefer working on, TV or movies?
Oh, good question. I'm pitching TV because I feel like that opens the door to more opportunities for me personally, but I like the freedom of film, movies, because you just kind of have your role, you talk to the director, and then you just get to make it something unique and special. Whereas TV, sometimes they count your lines, and it's very specific, and there's a strong time limit. And until you get the power to be in control of everything, it's kind of limited, it feels like, so.
You don't like it more than stand-up though, right?
Stand-up's my heart, that's the thing. That's like always gonna
Good,
be.
that's what I wanted to hear. So.
Right. So, here's the thing, man, when this quarantine started, yeah, man, we slowed down, we stopped, but I'm back rolling now doing stand-up, and it's amazing. I just can't believe we still have the opportunity to do it if you apply yourself and really use this computer, this internet, and use it properly. You can really still live.
We get a lot of questions.
Go, Sharon.
I was gonna say we had a lot of stand-ups say that either they don't like it or they do like it. I'm trying to see like what do you like about it? Because I've seen a lot of them. Like I saw Wendy's thing last Friday, and she was doing it over at the Guild. What do you like about the internet version of the stand-up you're not doing? Because I mean, you don't get that instant gratification that I always hear that a lot of stand-ups need.
Okay, so listen to this. Like as we speak right now, I'm doing stand-up I've been doing shows and on this very format, you know, and I've told jokes about my wife and stuff, and she doesn't like them all, you know, like, no, she even told me, she was like, why is it when you write jokes about me, they're negative? I'm like, you're absolutely right. You need to change, you know, and
I'm locked up with you. I'm surprised you're still alive.
okay, so look at this. That was actually an experiment. So what I did that to do is to let you guys know that the shows I perform is literally that. You guys, I just pitched you a joke. You guys laughed. I am fulfilled. My heart is full right now because I heard the instant laughter. We'll have like 150, 200 people in a Zoom room, and we'll only leave the mics on for about, I don't know, 15 people, and you really get the reaction. I really get to do real material that I'm writing because I stopped. I was so discouraged when this happened. I was sad, my eyes welling up. And then when this came to life, I'm like, I can still do it to a degree, even though, you know, and you hear laughter. So look, it's going to work for me until we do something else.
I did one the other night with Chip Nicholson in LA, and it was my first experience where they had actually invited, you know, people to come and watch, you know, via Zoom. And it was so much better than like what others are doing, like where you just record it and send it in. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
it's not the same.
I'm down with that way.
Right.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Right. Before this, I was in the living room just looking in the camera and saying what I thought was funny, and then I would post it, and everyone would stare at it. You know, zero reaction. But now, when you get the reaction, that's all you need to know. Okay, don't do that again. You know, or keep that. You know, so it's working. It's literally working, and that's why, like anyone watching this, like find me, because I'm doing comedy shows like every week now, and I'm doing new material, I'm doing polished material, and it's growing.
And it's good networking too, like just all the comics that, you know, are on Zoom, like it just gets your name more fucking out there. At least for me, I mean, your name's pretty fucking out there.
No,
so.
I mean, I need it just like we all do, and I agree with you. I did a show with all New York comics like last Wednesday. So these were a bunch of guys that weren't familiar with me, and now they're like, hey, man, do more shows. And I'm like, you know, I'm going to keep going, you know. So,
that's dope.
That's pretty interesting because, Sharon pointed out a lot of the comics we had on were just not necessarily disparaging the Zoom meetings, but they were just like, it's not my thing.
I get it. I get it. You know, when you leave from a live where you could touch people, where you're in a room, and then you're kind of limited to looking at that green dot right on your camera, on your laptop, no, it's painful, you know, and we don't know. For me, I don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring. I don't know if I'm gonna be back on stage in 2 months, 3 months, a year. So I just found a way that works, and I'm just gonna keep going. And that's why I'm like, people hit me up, because I'm like I'm doing real shows, and you should see. I mean, the way you guys are, the way I am now. People are in their living rooms, they sipping on wine, you know.
Smoking joints.
Yeah, they smoking joints, man. And
I love this way of podcasting so much more. Like I can just do whatever the fuck I want. Like I love it. It's
they
great.
enjoying a comedy show, you know. So hey, why not?
So I remember when you did it. Sorry, I remember when you did a show at Stones with Stephen Milani. That was actually the first time I was really introduced to you, and I sat with your wife, and I remember I was just like saying how like, because him and I are best friends, but like I was just like, damn, this guy's hella good, and your wife was super quiet, like she was very nice, super quiet. We had a drink, and then you got off stage and you went right up to her, and I was like, oh shit, like I was sitting with her the whole time, and she's like, this guy and his jokes, and like I was just like, man, that's so cool. But like you live next door to like Garrett, I guess, who also works at Stones, and he's like, yeah, man, that guy's his kid's on my baseball team, and he's over there cracking jokes during baseball practice and all this shit. Yeah. Like, man, that's fucking
right. You know, that's the thing with my wife. She's seen it all. So she kind of like, she's like a comic in a way where she's jaded and doesn't laugh a lot. and she doesn't really laugh at my like material unless it's like a great joke, you know.
Not about her.
Or I talk shit about her literally. She likes that. She actually likes the one. Unless it gets too personal, and then she's like, why are you doing that? Why?
So, getting back to TV and movie, I'm curious, who's one director that you would just like head over heels for to work for?
Man, I would love to work for John Singleton. Now, that's not going to happen now that he has died. But man, that was like one of my dreams, because like many of his films, he pulls this real practical reality element that I like about art. Like if I, when I do my show ever, my like television show, I want the funny to come from real life situations, you know, like where people connect with it in a way like, yo, that's me. Like, has he lived with us? You know, and I want that to be my comedy. And I saw that a lot in John Singleton projects. So,
Sharon, you're shaking your head very vigorously.
True. You got Baby Boy, you got Friday. I mean, you know, just well, not Friday, but Boys in the Hood. I mean, there's a lot of several movies that he's done that I can see. Rest in peace to him, but yeah, I can see that you could have been at least one of the. I'm not saying you could be a crackhead or anything, but I'm saying probably one of the fellas driving down the street with his head down. Like,
I was totally thinking of the wrong guy. I was thinking of the guy that produced Breakfast Club and like all those 80s rap. I was like,
wow, she's thinking John Hughes.
Whoa.
My bad. I am super stoned. I apologize.
Jesus, you're white.
So the guy that directed Ballbusters, he came under John Hughes.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Oh.
Right. I believe so. So that was exciting. Oh, speaking of TV, look at this. I don't know even when this is airing or going out, but this show debuted on Netflix called Cannabis and Comedy. And it's on Netflix now, and I'm on an episode of that, and it literally just released. And it's very new, interesting TV, but I'm getting tweets about it, and I don't know what I did. So something's happening.
Wow.
Is that Nangayo's show? No, it's not, huh?
No, this is it's actually a cooking show. So no, not Cannabis and Comedy. It's called Cooked with Cannabis. So there's chefs who cook meals, really high-end meals, but they add cannabis into the food. And I was a taste tester in the show.
Is that the one with Be Real? Because there's one on Vice that does something like that, and Be Real is like one of the judges.
I don't know. It came out today, but it's Khalees. Oh. But they switch judges every single time, so possibly.
Oh, man. I like to eat. I could be a taste tester. So.
So I just got to ask, does Baby Boy, is that on the same caliber as Boys in the Hood? Because I saw Baby Boy, and I was like,
Okay, so look, Baby Boy is in my top 5, and I'll tell you why. I do not believe that movie was written to be a comedy. However, it is so funny, man. There's so many parts. And, you know, like there's a backstory about the original actor that was supposed to play it was Tupac, but R.I.P. And then Tyrese got the role. And Tyrese, to me, is that level of funny where he's not trying to be and he just can't help it. So that combo with him and John Singleton, to me, made that movie just a classic. I watched it. I could quote it. I could quote the entire movie. It's just one of my favorites. Oh, man. Right.
Got Snoop Dogg in it.
Snoop Dogg, right.
So one thing I want to bring up is a lot of people have talked about you winning the NBC stand-up competition. We got Kyrie, who's a local guy that won it. Who's the other one? Danny?
J.R. de Guzman.
There you go. So do you think Sacramento is sort of a sleeper comedy scene that's not getting recognized?
I don't think so. I know so. I know that there's guys, and I feel like it starts with almost like a level of leadership. And what I mean is like everyone doesn't always just immediately just leave the LA. A lot of guys stay, you know, and when you see in your hometown, like really sharp comics, you get you have someone to aim to. Like I saw guys like like Jason Wrestler, like I'm a fan of him, man, how he just develops content so much, you know. And there was just guys, man, that like they were like, okay, cool. And I was just like, maybe I could be one of those guys too. And then it stretched to like the Bay Area and all that stuff. But as far as Sacramento, I just think there's just like an energy that's being, I want to say overlooked, but I can't, because like you just said, we won these national competitions. So are we being overlooked? I don't know.
Because that's one thing that we've heard reported by a lot of comics is, you know, why it should expand from the Bay Area. I remember this one comic at an open mic was like, if you want to get recognized, you better change your number to a 415 area code because they're not paying attention to 916. And I thought that was pretty profound.
You know,
I think that's true.
I hear where people are coming from. Like if you go to like populated cities, yeah, it's going to be more competition. Like a New York City, it's just more people to rise to the top. So I get it. But what I have always preached about our region is that within an hour, 2 hour range, man, you got like 7 clubs easy. Then you got all the one-nighters. Then you got like the little bars that people are throwing. There's so many resources to become great if you apply yourself. And, you know, fortunately, I was welcomed in the clubs. Like, you know, they gave me the time and the reps, and that's where it all starts. It starts with you being honest with yourself and getting the reps and doing the work.
Does anybody else have any questions? I don't want to like hog all the stuff.
Yeah, Jesus, Nick. So how would you say you still do open? I mean, obviously I know you're local, you're here, but like, how often do you even go to open mics anymore? Like, do you just randomly, like when you're trying to work on shit, or what's your outlet now to judge, you know, work on jokes?
So here's the thing. I'm actually not in Sacramento, but
Oh,
I did start in Sacramento.
Okay.
But you know, it's like my comedy home in a lot of ways. So as far as open mics go, you know, yes, you know, I do. Especially if I know there's gonna be an audience, it helps.
Yeah.
You know, or else I can just like work out at my regular shows. But I just like to write and try it, right? And it's trial and error for all of this. So if it works out, then absolutely. I love comedy. So I'm not doing it for anything else but like the passion of loving it and seeing what happens.
Are the LA open mics a lot like New York? Because I know some New York comedians say that they only get 2 minutes a set.
They are shorter sets, you know, but I also didn't say I was in LA either. See, you said I was in LA. Where am I?
Well, it's because you got that, you know, air about you.
You know, here's the thing. As far as LA open mics go, it seems like there's so many showcased or mini book shows. So I don't really find the open mics like that. You just end up in a show that is like 5 comics and you do like 10 to 15 and it's on a Tuesday, and you know, it doesn't feel like your traditional on the road 3-man show, but it's not an open mic either.
So wherever you started, I mean, obviously you didn't start in LA. So how would you just
I started in Sacramento.
Would you just drive randomly to LA and like do open mics? Like, how did you get your name out there to do all these bigger, you know, states? Like, would you just networking, or how do you, like, when did you feel you were ready?
This is what I would tell any comic as far as getting your name out. I always believe that it started with 5 minutes, and you could go to the same place and work on this 5 minutes, and your 5 minutes should be something that just really tells your story, shows your comic ability. It's not about having that tough 30. You want to have the 5 that people talk about later. The 5 that people are driving home saying, like, what was that? That was all. And I think that's what opened so many doors for me. I booked Letterman off a 5-minute set. You know, some of the clubs I got into is because I got a guest spot to headline, you know, and the guest spot was like 5 minutes, and I ended up headlining the club. It starts with 5 minutes. Meanwhile, everyone wants to, you know, get this 20, this 40. But if you got that strong where it's respected, people talk. It's just how comedy works.
Okay. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. But eventually, like, that was the fun of it. I remember I got my first gig in Oregon for $50, man. That like changed my life. I drove 6 hours to get $50, man. Like, I was never the same.
Yeah, I was supposed to be at the Strat in Vegas this weekend, so I'm like, fuck, I drove 8 hours for like, $75, but it's well worth it. Like, I love it. I love the grind. Yeah. But I'm not there now. Fucking COVID.
Well,
Yet. You're not there yet.
Right.
Anybody else before I keep going? I don't want to. Sharon?
Are we out of questions?
No,
we have questions.
No.
We have questions. No, we have questions. We
Yeah.
have questions.
But if you got questions, go for it, Sharon.
I did notice that I do have one question that always balking me, because I see you always doing several rooms. Not only do you do the touch class and some of the black rooms and stuff, you also do even Vince's, even Last Limited. You're well rounded, where a lot of people still get stagnant with, well, I'm only gonna do this place. Do you always, what do you tell comics that you always tell them they should go do it, or what is your thing when you talk to comics about doing a different room and stuff?
I think bottom line is being true to yourself. Like, I'm someone who talks and knows everyone. So I'm going to be comfortable in every room. I do think I recommend sometimes putting yourself in uncomfortable positions. It'll pull out another muscle. It'll pull out something different that you haven't done. And I think it's important to do that, but I think you should always record yourself so you can hear it or see it, and then you know something about yourself, or something you can try the next time. Like, okay, maybe next time when I go there, I won't open up with such a joke like this. Maybe I'll go with a softer approach, or I'll go with a harder approach. And I think diversifying yourself only strengthens you, So that's me, but, find your following. Like, maybe your crowd, because in the end, like, just picture end game of your fans coming to see you. That's just going to be people who like you, and then every day you go somewhere, it's just going to be your crowd.
Okay.
One thing I wanted to ask you is, we've asked comedians that have traveled the nation, what is the importance of traveling and doing comedy?
Well, every region's different. The energy you get from New Jersey is not the energy you get from Seattle. It's completely different. So once you're exposed to so much different, it just opens you up as a comic. I know when I first started, it was Sacramento. So all I did was that. All I did was Northern California. So when I went to Oregon, I might have thrown out a local reference that tanked because they didn't get it. And there was so many things I learned on that trip of how you do have to open yourself up. In a way, sometimes generalizing, but if you can get personal about your personal life, you can talk about that anywhere you go. Right. So I do think it's important to go out. I think it like pushes more buttons inside of you to grow as an artist.
All right. One thing you just briefly mentioned in the beginning was, talking about clean material. Do you think it's important to have a clean set? At least one in the bag?
I think you should be who you are. I think if that's you, then you should do all clean if you're a clean person. If you're just filthy, don't force it.
Danny?
Yeah, it's really hard for me to be filthy, Nick, because I'm a clean comic, bitch. Fuck you, Nick.
So
I've never seen you work clean.
I'm not a clean person. I'm fucking filthy. I'm sorry. I'm a phone sex operator. What do you want from me? My life is full of making men come. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
She also does kids' parties.
I do.
See, that's the thing. Our paths are different. Like, just because everyone else is coming up in this route and doing that, you do what works for you. Like, I don't recommend like just cleaning up if you're, I'm not saying you're filthy, but if you are, I don't say do it.
Yeah.
However, there's always people. Yeah, do what works. That's what it's about. You got people that's like, you got to be like this and you got to be like that, but I don't.
Carlos told me early on, Carlos Rodriguez was like, just don't listen to any advice. Like, just take what they have to say with a grain of salt, because everyone's going to give you advice, like whether you want to or not. Like, everyone's going to do it, but like, you got to do what's true to you. So I mean, That's kind of what I've been doing. People like it or they don't. I don't care.
I'm trying to be cleaner now. To be honest, like I've never been crazy filthy, but I've been dirtier than I've ever been over the course of the last 5 years because I was just like, I'm gonna do what I want to do. But now what I'm trying to do is cleaner material so I can focus more just on what is being said and what message am I getting through. And then I'll, then when I'm like delivering and performing it, then I'll just speak how I speak and then bring out the language.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what's your joke writing style? Because I remember one comedian gave an interview and he said he'll do a joke at an open mic and it'll kill. Then he'll go to this club. He'll maybe get 2 jokes out of it. Then he'll go to another club and only get 1 joke out of the whole thing.
Interesting. For me, I don't know. Since I write every day, especially now, I'm just kind of writing my take on some interesting stories. My life is already, to me, interesting. So I kind of really pull out some stuff about that. Like nothing has changed. I'm still married. My wife's still older. I still got a stepson. Me and him, we like the same age, and I still got that entire angle. So I found my POV and I just kind of run with it.
You don't have a stepson, you have a step man.
Step man. Absolutely. Which is the title of the special that's on Amazon Prime right now.
I can't wait until I marry someone my son's age.
That's gross because your son's still illegal.
I gotta wait till he's legal, bitch. Shut up. Be quiet. He's getting there.
There yet, damn.
So I want to talk about your Emmy nomination. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it was interesting. It happened, interestingly enough, it was in a digital drama. So I've done a few dramas, and I think I'm 50-50 on comedy acting and dramatic acting, where I can go either way. I like dramatic acting, because I feel like it's almost easier for a comic to be in that realm.
Be sad and dramatic.
Yeah, man, we're dramatic people, but like I feel like in comedy it's so fast, it's so quick beats, it's timing is everything. But in dramatic acting, you get to live in the moment, you get to think, and you get to just be a human. I feel like you get to be like a person. So when I got that nomination, I was directed well, and it was something called a one-take shot. So literally this was 17 straight minutes with no cuts. And that was the performance with a roving camera going around us. And it landed an Emmy nomination, which is something I never thought that I would even be discussing or talking about.
Do you bring that up when you're in fights with your wife? Like, bitch, I've been nominated for a Grammy. Bitch. Like, you know who you're talking to? Like,
no, I don't.
Should murder you. It's okay.
Yeah, the Emmy nomination went to, what was it? It was LA Stories of LA or LA Stories?
It's called Conversations in LA. It was about 3 seasons. I think I did season 2 or 3. I gotta check. I don't remember. But it was fun, man. It was like really fun to just get this character named Jeremy and like dig in and show some different energy instead of giggles all the time.
So you mentioned you were going to a poetry thing, and then you decided comedy. Sharon hosts a little poetry jam. I'm curious what your thoughts are on poetry, like what your favorite type is, whether it's iambic pentameter, gotcha, Sharon, or slam poetry. I'm just curious about that.
Snap poetry.
I don't know. I just want to be entertained. So that's all I can say, man. I don't have like one specific, I like punchline poetry, which really translates to like hip hop. Really, a lot of it is like well-written stuff, and then they put a beat on it, and then you're like, oh man, I love this.
I love the rap battles you were doing on Facebook Live. Like, they were great.
Hilarious. So Yeah, that was a phase I was going through. It's past. Yeah, I was going through something, and I really enjoyed it for that limited time that I
It was
thought.
nice.
I think because it was just different, man. And I was like finding something to do, and I feel like every day I've been trying to figure this out until I found like that I can still do stand up.
Mm.
Oh, did we lose you, Mike?
Oh.
Oh, I think we did.
Uh-oh.
No.
This guy's awesome. I fucking love him.
I like him too. He's good.
That's
I don't
a
know
weird
what
space to
happened
be
though.
left on though.
You're so on his jock. You're like, oh, TV, movies. You really stalked the shit out of him, didn't you?
Well, I researched it.
I'm fucking with you.
Hopefully he comes back.
He will.
Where does he live?
I
I
don't
have no idea. Yeah, fuck Carmen
Oh.
San Diego. Where in the world is Mikey Winfield?
He's in the witness protection program, you guys. People
The
are
new
after his
Wells
afro.
Waldo.
Yeah. Where's Afro? What?
What? Where's Afro? Wow.
Where's Afro?
Oh,
I mean,
Wow.
and Mikey left. So when he comes back, we'll
Mhm.
he's
continue.
fucking awesome, you guys. And I'm not saying that because I'm super stoned, but he is awesome.
You're saying that because you're on his jock.
Dude, I love him. Like, not like sexually, like I just think he's fucking dope. And I actually, his wife is funnier than him sometimes when she's watching his comedy. She's like, oh, this guy ain't shit.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, she's fucking
So
awesome.
Danny, Lance or Mike?
Oh, don't make me choose, god damn it.
By the way, I'm keeping this in.
I'm not
Oh,
gonna
now
answer
she-
them.
oh.
I mean, I know Lance better.
Mhm.
I think Lance has a lot to offer. However, Mikey's just he's doing bigger things this moment.
I'm
So-
trying to wonder if you'd
I-
be blushing if he was here in person.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 'Cause I'm super like inspired by him. Like watching him on like watching anyone I know with a special. Like AJ DeMello has a special coming out, and like, you know, just watching people on Prime and trying to like do what I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to get there, and it's like to watch people that I've like physically met and like bullshit with or smoke a joint with, like it gives me goosebumps. I
I've
like
been
it.
on a special bus.
No, that doesn't count. Like when you guys see
Okay.
me on Amazon Prime in like 10 years, I want you to be like, man, that bitch like forced her way down to my podcast and like blah blah blah, and like she may have been a whore, but it worked.
Wow.
Like-
I don't think you're a whore.
She may have taken it over completely, my podcast,
That's
you
just
know.
pirating.
right?
Well, no,
Like,
the
I
hope
just-
is that we can ride your coattails.
Oh, you can ride me. You can ride my coach. I'll bring you guys up with me, but you guys are it. That's it. No more.
All right, I just messaged him, so
You're like my little brother, Nick, that I like to abuse so much. I mean, since my brother won't talk to me, I'll just start with the new one. You're it.
So when you get big, you want to marry a 12-year-old, huh?
You know, I'll wait till he's
13.
18.
Oh, is he 13 now? That's right.
21. My son is 14.
Oh, 14.
Oh, okay.
My daughter is 17. So, you know, only like one more year if I want to wait for that. You know,
Jesus.
she told me a couple of months ago when I think she had overheard my Florida story. And she was like, when my friends turn 18, you better not fuck them. And I was like, don't worry, you don't hang out with cute boys. It's fine.
God, you're
That's
fucking
not-
ruthless.
I'm the best. Shut up. My parenting skills.
Mom,
are
we have a
impeccable.
new friend named Horse. He's ugly, but he's got a huge cock.
No, I don't like that. I'm not a size queen. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
you
not. Hey, 4 inches
Huh?
is nothing. What the fuck? What am I gonna do with that? Like throwing a hot dog down a hallway.
That's not very becoming of you.
I don't give a shit. 4 inches, and it wasn't even girthy. Like it was like this size.
Not even,
Like,
wow.
like that.
Middle finger.
Like get the fuck out of
That was a
here. Get
fuck
the
you.
fuck out of here.
Gives me something to aspire to.
I'm sorry, but don't. I asked before. If you would have been honest, this wouldn't have been happening right now.
Wait a minute. What honesty they need to have? I mean,
I had a Tinder date yesterday.
I've heard many.
Anyways, before I went down to where we were gonna hang out at, I asked him. I said, "What are you working with? Like, clearly, I've sent you some pictures. What are you working with? Like,
What are your feelings on chapstick?
are you I'm like, are you circumcised? Are you like, because I'm not a huge size. He is a big guy. So I was like, you know, if you have a big
Okay.
cock, tell me now and I won't come. Well, he was like, no, it's like 6-7 inches. It's fine. It will get the job done.
The job done. Okay,
That's what he said.
Measured from his asshole.
So
There you
then
go.
I go there, and you know, whatever, and I'm like, what the, like, it's like this. It's like 4 inches, and it's tiny, and I'm like, no, that's not gonna. I'm not gonna have sex with you.
That would fuck me up for life.
And
So,
I was like, you lied to me.
this is hard.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you just measure from there, just give an eye shot, and go, that's not hard enough.
If you gripped it, could you see the head still?
I mean, I did touch it. I touched it, and I was like, that's not gonna work.
So was
I
there
touched
anything
it.
sticking out, or was it?
It was tiny. Like, it was like that. There you go. Just like that.
All right, Mikey Winfield said he's working on it. Coming
Okay.
back.
I'm just saying. It
It's
was
like a dog's one.
It was his own fault. He should not have lied.
Well, he didn't. Well, he's not gonna. Well, yeah.
But then I asked,
Prevented all of this.
she said he's a bigger dude, and I was like, well, his gunt probably makes it like,
No.
you know, smaller.
No. I mean, if I ask for a dick pic and you don't send me one, you're probably hiding something.
Or you just don't want it to be flaunted around and they
That's
listen to the
true.
podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I wouldn't put it on the podcast. I'd just show you guys in private.
Oh,
I did, however, get 2 more subscribers to our podcast. Thank you very much.
Ooh.
Yes,
Putting
I
my
did.
life on the line for that.
I did see that. Our downloads, this quarantine is killing us, man.
Yeah, no
Is
one
it?
wants to listen to us.
Yeah, well, it's killing all the podcasts. I read an article about it.
Mm.
I saw the 82,000 new podcasts in the past 30 days.
Oh my God.
That's because
And, like,
people
I
are bored
went-
as fuck.
I know. I went on Amazon to see. Someone asked me about what mics I use, so I went over there to remember exactly, how much it cost. They don't even have them right now, so they're selling out on podcast mics.
And those are expensive mics. Those are no joke.
Your mic looks awesome, Nick.
Oh, mine? Thank you.
What is
Yeah,
it?
I got a,
It looks like a square.
I gotta
No.
get some water. Hold on.
it's, the back is foam.
Okay.
Like here, I'll show you. Let
Whip
me
it
mute
out.
because this is going to be a lot of fucking sound.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
ah!
I get it.
Did you make that? Did you come up with that on your own, or is that a setup?
No, I bought the backing because when I record for the radio, sometimes it just doesn't sound as crisp.
Right.
So I got the backing, and it's helped. It's helped a lot.
I should actually reach back out to the radio station because I'm bored as shit.
Yes, you should. And Mikey Winfield is back.
What? Look at that picture. That's great.
Hey. Yeah.
What was that, man?
Dude, what you do?
You know what's wild is like I've been using Ethernet for a stronger connection, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, I had Wi-Fi on too. And then I was like, I looked at all of you frozen, so I was like, all right, it's not them.
You just start doing the mannequin challenge, like, what?
I mean, at least your
1, 2,
faith wasn't
3.
horrible or anything. You just basically like,
Right.
Yeah.
Man, this scares me because like this hasn't happened in one of my shows yet, but I'm like, man, this is what I don't want to happen when I'm doing these like live comedy shows. You like it freezes and now everybody wants their money back. You know?
oh.
Or you get that dick that takes a screenshot and posts it on social media.
Yeah. No, I don't mind a screenshot. I think I don't want the recording. Who can record on this? Like just the host?
Yeah.
Oh, good to know. I mean,
Yeah.
I know anyone can do anything if they pull out their phone, but still, just wondering.
Yeah, just on this, you can set it up to where I can set it up to where all you guys can record, but I only have it for me since I'm the one that does everything for this podcast.
Shut up. I get all the guests, god damn it.
Damn.
Not all of them.
Most of the good ones. The good ones. Fuck
That's
you.
true. You did get
Yeah.
you did get this amazing guest.
Thank you.
You really fulfilled all my quota, Mikey. Thank you.
Well, good. I'm glad I could assist.
Yeah, because I forced my way onto this podcast. I'm like, look, I could bring you guys great people, and then I haven't done it like all the way yet. So I'm like, yeah, fuck you. I met it now. What? So.
No, let's talk about her first guest booking. She booked someone, and then she talked about a Pink concert, gave her tickets to go to the Pink concert, so our guest left halfway through our podcast.
Wow.
Asia May loves Pink. Fuck you. I'm sorry. I had to help her out.
And I love having a full episode. Fucker.
So bad.
So let's talk about the Cap City comedy that you did, I believe, 2 years ago.
I can't believe it's been 2 years already. And you're right. That was at the what's the theater? What's the theater called?
Crest.
The Crest. Man, what a beautiful place to perform. Yeah, it was fun, man. It was fun to do something with the radio station. I did a lot at KSFM because I used to kind of work there too. So it was fun to kind of go back and do a show for them, and they should keep doing show. Well, obviously.
I think they are.
Yeah, obviously not now.
They had one actually in March. They had a Cap City show at the Crest.
Ooh, do you mean it was scheduled for this year?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, good for them. And they should, I enjoyed it. I made a lot of fans just from that are still like, boom, man, coming out every time I come back to Sacramento and perform. So yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Do you like coming back home to do comedy?
I do. Here's wait a minute, did I unplug something again? Hold on.
No, you're good.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
We got you.
Okay, great. This is what I like, right? It's like I don't have this problem to go back and forth from theaters to clubs, but I really love performing in clubs, So, and Sacramento has some of the most amazing ones. Like my first set ever was in Laughs Unlimited, So, between Laughs Unlimited, Punchline, we got. I think Tommy T's disappeared.
Yeah.
And then, Comedy Spot, Midtown, again, there's so many resources, and I like the energy here. They are very giving as far as energy, so it helps.
Now, since you've been in comedy so long, did you ever find yourself sort of at this fork in the road of like, all right, I can keep doing comedy, or I can start, get a real job, quote unquote? And
good question, Nick. I was gonna ask that.
That's a great one. Yeah, I think the fork in the road for me was marriage. It's like, okay, which one should I keep doing? No, that's always been my thing. Is like how to balance relationship, life, and a career, and something that requires a lot of time to get any form of results. So have I had that? Maybe more than ever, I want to say, in the last couple years. And I think now that's opening up more for some reason. I was just kind of feeling a certain way, and then this special came from Amazon Prime, and then the NBC thing happened, and there was parts of me that were just like, is this it? Is this what you're gonna do? And now I don't know, maybe I got the love back or something. This is what happened too. When I knew I had a special, I had to keep doing the same set, and it was for a great reason, because that's how you prepare for specials. But I did not feel like a comic. I felt like this just rehearsed.
Yeah.
And so when that was done, I'm back to being an artist and getting the freedom back. And that's what works. That's what helps me, is having that creative freedom to just do whatever I want every day.
Nice. Sorry, I was ill-prepared again. Okay, we are professional, I swear.
Sure.
So one person we were going to have on that had to cancel last minute today was Josh Means. He says you are the reason he got into comedy in the first place. I'm wondering, how does that make you feel when you hear stuff like that?
That's interesting. That I would love to know what people saw, because I get that. I get those DMs, and I get those stories of people that tell me I'm why they started. And I think it's because, like on my off nights, people realize, oh man, I could do that, you know, and they're like, if this guy could do it, and I think something about that, you know, and I told him, I remember he even came to me and he wanted, I was like, why not? I think everyone should try stand up, even if you don't want to pursue a career in it, just to get it out your system and get that feeling. And then you'll know something. So it's not for everybody though.
That's all I needed was another addiction when I tried comedy. So fuck, yeah, it's bad now.
Indeed, that's what it is. And that's what I don't think people know. When you say that, like addiction, people think you're kind of just saying it. But what happens is once you really feel that energy that comes back to you, that laughter, it is something that you keep going back for and need.
Honestly, I go back for the awkward moments because I'm like, how can I fix this? Like, I love the rejection. I'm like, I'm going to fucking make it better. I'm going to make it better. So I go for that.
Yeah, I think only artists will understand that it's just like something you're chasing in a positive way sometimes, not all the time.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So we had Lance Woods on, and he sort of expressed the importance of social media. Do you feel that's important as well?
Absolutely, you know, and he's someone that's really great at it. You know, he like knows how to maneuver properly in it, and
it's funny because he said he sucks at it.
Right. humble move.
Sure.
Not at all. He does not. And I'm learning. I feel like I am terrible at it, but what I do have is access to fans, and that's what's benefiting me during this time. So like the shows I'm doing, I'm not even promoting them so much publicly. I'm literally underground messaging and DMing and throwing these shows, and people are coming out, and I'm getting new material. I'm growing as a comic. Like one day when the stage opens back up, I got new bits that I know work. It's wild.
Do you feel that the because your class has Carlos, has, you know, you have so many people in your class, do you feel more proud that when you see them coming up and then you're coming up, it's almost like your partner is basically doing what you do, but even better and stuff? Do you enjoy that?
Love it. I love it, man. Like the best times were when we were like really riding in the car together, the long gigs and riding back from gigs. And those were literally the moments I cherish, you know, like, because when you headline, you're going like, you flying here, you're going there, and it can be lonely. Like you're literally not with your peeps anymore until you reach another level where you can bring who you want to your gig. So, you know, next step for me, that's what I'm planning, to like get the party back, you know? Right.
Nice.
Yeah, I would love to be in the car rides for some of them because Keith Lowell Jensen said he drove to Berkeley or something, and he was like, the ride was funnier than the show was.
No, absolutely. It's like that at times because the inside jokes, man, they're like already there. You're just not having to, you know, start from scratch. You know, the stage sometimes is a work. It's a job. You know, the car ride, you're just with funny friends that you can clown and, you know.
Man, when Carlos brings his dad on trips, it's like fucking hilarious. Like, it's ridiculous. I'm like, oh my God, you should not bring him out in public. This is ridiculous. Like, my side's already hurt.
He's really a wild guy, man. It's funny, like, when you really meet him, you're like, he's really like this.
All the time.
Yeah, I saw him perform at Tommy T's, and I hit him up to be on the podcast, and he came on, and I assumed his sort of ADD qualities. I was like, all right, this is a character, and fuck no, it is not.
No. We're talking about him. I'm also talking about his dad.
Yeah.
Have his dad on the podcast.
Oh my God, that would be great.
I have asked, and he was like, I don't understand what that is now. Yeah.
All right. Any more questions before we get on to the Inside the Comic Studio?
I won't bombard him.
Well, you can ask a question. Come on.
I don't have any more. It's fine.
All right, go fuck yourself. All righty.
Right.
We do. Have you listened to the podcast before?
Of course.
Oh,
That would be a no.
Yeah, part of me was like, I shouldn't ask it. And then part of me is like, no, every time I ask, they always say no. So let's just keep it going. So we do this thing called Inside the Comic Studio.
Brilliant.
Yes, where we ask all comedians the same 5 questions, and it is brought to you by Ballsy Brand Ball Wash and the Ball Guard. Use promo code GAG15 for 15% off your entire order. All right, first question, first joke that landed well.
I did this joke about having a gay nightmare and a lesbian nightmare, and it was an act out, and it destroyed. I used to close with it.
All right.
When was the last time you did it?
Probably like 15 years ago. Also, that joke now would probably get me kicked out of comedy.
Do you feel the temperature has changed as far as what you can and can't say?
Is that question number 2, or is that an add-on?
That's
to
just
one?
that's an add-on.
Do I think the temperature's changed?
Yeah.
You know, absolutely. I know it has, but again, like I said earlier, it's just I'm in something else. Like maybe it's just my own universe or something, but it just different rules apply.
All right. Now, question 2. Favorite thing about the local comedy scene? It could be where you're at now, or it could be the Sacramento scene.
Favorite thing. Okay, look at this. This was my favorite thing. My favorite thing was when people weren't afraid to give you tags, and they weren't afraid to say, oh, you should try it like this. And then somewhere along the line, people started building fear and thinking, oh yeah, this person doesn't need this and doesn't need that. And I mean, I think amongst your circle, you know, they're going to be the most honest with you. But even that, sometimes it just, people aren't doing that. And that was my favorite thing. I just wanted to be back, you know.
All right. Something you dislike or would like to see changed in the local scene?
I don't know. It's like people wasting space. You know, yes, I say a lot that everyone should try it. I still live by that. However, like, if you're going to do it, I'm like, just do it. You know, be someone that's not taking 5 minutes from someone that's living for this. You know, so, you know, if you're going to commit to it, more commitment enhances the all-around talent, which will make the entire scene greater.
We've heard that reported by a lot of comedians. I remember Johnny Casino was like, yeah, in January you get tons of people because they want to do it as a New Year's resolution, and before you know it, they're just gone. It's like all those people should just stay off the stage. Right, Danny?
You know, I don't mind if someone wants to get it out of their system, like Mikey was saying, but like I do mind when, you know, I am trying to do something and my time gets shorter because someone wants to get up there and talk about like fucking their balls, and it's like, dude, you're just trying to vent, like you're just mad at a date or something, like get the fuck off the stage, you know. But I'm not anyone to say that. Like I'll just, you know, respectfully go outside if I can't keep my mouth shut.
And go smoke your weed.
Whatever.
We got to perform an intervention.
It's 420. Fuck you.
That is
It is 420.
Yeah.
This is the only day I smoke.
All month long.
Now, who's your favorite local comedian in Sac?
Oh man, it's tough, man. What happens when I say that is I hurt too many feelings. So
Ever the politician you are.
absolutely.
All right, and then lastly, advice to new comedians.
As I have stated, advice to new comedians is do the same 5 minutes, record yourself, and be honest with yourself, which means when they're not laughing, it doesn't mean it's not funny. It just means you gotta go a different way to get there. So work on that 5 and be open and real and true to yourself, or it's just going to stay the same. You're not gonna yell it next time and now it works. It's like it requires different wording.
I have a question for you. If I win, and if me or anyone else I don't want to bombard your DMs. But if I feel like I have that strong 5, would you be willing to at least watch it and like give me your honest criticism? I mean, I know you're a busy guy, but like,
That's
you know.
the thing. I got about 35 minutes of sets in there now, and I feel horrible.
Yeah.
I feel horrible, you know. But here's the thing: like when I'm at the clubs, like man, like I don't like if I'm in the room, I'll pitch notes and I'll always say, "Oh man, you should try this" or something like that. I'm like, I love doing that because I love it, but. You know, I don't know. I don't know.
Fucking come back to Sacramento so we can do that then.
Does anybody have any questions?
Nope.
God, you guys are horrible co-hosts.
I feel like all I did is ask questions, asshole.
The dirty, clean stuff. I mean, do you think starting off you're better off staying clean and then opening up? And I know you got to be true to yourself, but as far as opening doors.
Okay, so I do think the language can distract people from what you're saying sometimes. So without it, they'll only listen to your content versus sometimes certain words turn people off and they will just tune out of your set. So that happens not 100% of the time, but it does happen. So if you were to pick, you know, to me, funny is what pretty much dominates anything. Funny will get you in any room. Even the ones that they're like, we like clean comics, but you're hilarious. Like that happens. You know?
Got it.
What's the weirdest interaction you've had with a negative response to your act?
Man, through the years, it's always something. It's who you remind them of, and it's just like so many awkward things after shows, and it's just like I've gotten advice of what I should do in my marriage based on my set, you know, like I'm like, no, you know, I didn't want to talk about it after the show. Like I didn't need like an interview or anything. So it's so much, but that's because I think we reveal ourselves. We're so vulnerable that people feel like they know us. They can say whatever the hell they want to us.
They can relate to you because you made your comedy relatable. So
yeah,
no,
so that leads to so much awkwardness afterwards. Right.
Well, yeah, Jonah Hill talked about how he got treated as if he were one of his characters. And I remember this Australian interviewer just made fun of him, and he was like, all right, I'm out of here, and just walked off.
Yeah, man, people can't like split it up. There's sometimes certain people are a person and sometimes they're an actor, you know, and it's just not an easy transition for, you know, some audience.
So I figured I should ask this since Josh wanted to be on and he's such a huge fan. If he asked you to do Verbal Insults League as a judge, which is a roast battle, would you?
As a judge or as a, what's it called? Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. I would do it. Yeah.
Now, would you actually be in the roast battle since you brought it up?
He'd murder.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I love roast. I do one every year for my birthday, you know, but I'm such a target. So when I go in, I'm prepared. Like I'm so overly prepared. So I'm pretty down for whatever, you know. Just kind of going where I go.
Well, I'm sure if Josh is listening, he's probably creaming his pants as we speak and going to hit you up.
Well, and I mean, Josh won the roast battle in New York last year at Skankfest. So like, it's nice to see that like you're one of his biggest inspirations and like he's kind of following, you know, the same. I mean, I don't know what comic doesn't like roast battles. You know, it's fucking, it's great. It's awesome.
That's why I did the battle rapping when I was going through my phase. It was like a form of like, yeah, man, you get to say funny stuff about other people. It's great.
I was trying to come up with a rap for you and then I was like, fuck it, I can't do it. Never mind. I'm not going to submit it. Like, fuck it. I'm not a rapper. God damn it.
You want to submit a rap?
I was trying, man. I was trying.
What happened?
I'm bored too. Like, I'm white. I can't rap. God damn it.
No,
look at Eminem.
There are a lot of white people that can rap. What are you talking about?
You know, I'm fat. My tongue gets in the way. I don't know. I smoke
There's
a lot
of fat white people that can rap too.
Yeah. I sound like Biggie. Like I'm winded from fucking talking. So
and Biggie was the best rapper in the world. I'm trying to figure out your downfall here.
Thank you.
Well, that made hits back in the day with "Fuck You." What's your problem?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Hey, Mike, who would you say is better, Biggie or Tupac?
Oh.
You know, here's the thing. It depends on the criteria. You know, as far as influence, you know, I love Tupac interviews more than anything. You know, his interviews to me are second to like Muhammad Ali interviews, but I was always a Biggie fan over Tupac as far as the art and the lyrics and the uniqueness. And so I picked Biggie over Tupac.
Damn,
Told you, Nick.
I'm still the only one that's like Tupac. I thought you'd be on my side. Damn it.
Because you don't even listen to rap. You don't even know.
I like Logic.
Wow.
Logic's a rapper, right?
Wow.
Homicide? Come on, that's a great. Fuck you guys.
All right.
No. I'm going with it.
Good-
No, I'm
good
not.
job,
I'm not
Nick.
knocking it.
All right. Well, that is it. I gotta say, yours was so difficult to research for because I was like, "Oh, we can talk about this," and I was like, "Oh, but then there's this," and then, "Oh, and then there's this." Oh, one thing to ask you.
Let's do it.
Were you nervous for the Letterman?
The thing about it, I thought I was going to be, because, you know, it's such a big opportunity, but I think I rehearsed it so much that while I was performing, I didn't have to think. I had done that thing so many times on different stages. I even did it in the mirror. I knew the words verbatim. No one could even shake me from it. So the nerves never kicked in. I just went and did that set and left. And it was great. And that was like my third or fourth time going, because I had got bumped like multiple times where I made it to like NYC. And they were like, "Hey, sorry, you know, Brad Pitt's here." I'm like,
What was the event that made you go, "All right, I can do this comedy full time"?
You know, my whole thing ever was like, when I was featuring, I was like, I just need 45 minutes. Even when I was hosting, I'm like, just get 45. Because I'm like, I'm getting good feedback from audiences and people, you know, peers. So it's like, just make enough where on the road, the minimum would be like 200 per show. That way I won't get cussed out from my wife for doing stand-up. So that was be able to headline, be able to close. So I needed the minimum amount of time. And that's when I knew, once I got it, I was like, I can always close the show.
You said your first time ever doing comedy was at Laughs Unlimited. Like, how did that go? How did the first time go? I mean.
Oh yeah, it was terrible. It was,
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's only because I was cocky, you know. I thought stand-up was as easy as you see it before you've ever done it. It looks like, oh yeah, you just go up there and talk about stuff and everyone laughs, you know. And I'll never forget, I walked in the club, I saw people working on their notes and rehearsing. I'm like, they're not naturals.
Oh, and you were hella young? Oh, shit.
Yeah, so I went in just too cocky and thought I worked on something. I was with my homeboy. We had talked about something in the car. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to just do that, bro. And so I went and I did that, exactly what we talked about in the car. And when you like bright lights and expectations and people's arms crossed, and you start to really feel the sweat.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I miss that feeling. I love it.
It was terrible. Oh man.
All right, now go ahead.
I was supposed to do like 5. I think I might have made 3 minutes. And where it got worse, this was the worst thing. The worst part about it is afterwards, the host, she should have just dogged me, man. But she had sympathy. So when she went out to the crowd, she was like, "Hey, you guys, he gave it his best shot."
Oh man.
Man.
It was the worst. I actually quit. I quit after that.
Yeah, Regina did that to me at Touch of Class. She's like, "Oh man, just just give her some time. She's white. She's in a black club. She doesn't know what she's doing." And I'm like, "Oh my God." And she's like, "Just clap for her. Just clap for her.
Just clap for her.
Just clap for her."
Yeah, it was sad.
All right, this is the last question, I swear, and then we'll let you get back to your laundry.
Thank you.
You mentioned hosting. We had Becky Lynn on, and she discussed that it's very important for comedians to host so they can work and get more material. Do you feel that's the same?
You know, there's benefits to hosting, and you know, I do see benefits. One I see is you start from scratch a lot of the time. So you're the guy that has to go away from just so much written content and connect with an audience. So I think there's benefits that'll help you by the time you're a middle act or you're a headliner to know how to connect to audiences, you know. And then there's other times when you're just a writer. Some people are just like writers, and they have strong bits, and maybe that's not their big thing, is to, you know, connect with a crowd, but they're just funny. So to each his own, really.
All right. Well, like I said, that is the last question. So, Mike, I want to thank you sincerely for coming on.
Hey, my pleasure. My
It's my
pleasure, man. You
favorite
guys
episode
are great.
so far.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Take it easy.
All right. See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you again.